Hello, traders, and happy Monday. I am Matt here with JC from Empire Algorithmic Trading, ready to bring you Vwapvision's Stock Talk.
It's where we use just the volume weighted average price to make sense of this crazy market. So, like I like to say, Matt, let's just get to it, shall we?
Let's go with Stock Talk.
All right. All right. Happy Monday, Matt. How you doing on this beautiful Monday afternoon?
Dude, it is a beautiful start to the week. I cannot complain. Things are going well over here. How's beautiful Florida?
It is hot. It is. It feels. We talk about the Arrow review being like Christmas in July. It feels like July and March. It's what the hell? It's April now. It's in April.
No,
But
it's
no,
still
it
March,
is.
last day.
Oh God, it's okay. So not only am I screwing up our days, I'm getting our months all kind of bleeding together. But no, it was. It's an extremely warm day today. I took tomorrow off for a personal day of remembrance. But yeah, I'm probably going to hit the pool up tomorrow and decided to
Nice.
dress down a little bit. I'm wearing my old school Hazeltine Ryder Cup shirt that I got at the Ryder Cup. It's hard to believe it's been 9 years since that event went down up there. But yeah, so just kind of riding down memory lane this afternoon. So let's take a look at some charts, shall we?
Let's do it.
Was an interesting day. I sent you guys a text earlier this morning, and I was like, "This can get out of control. If we start seeing selling like this, it could cascade, right? And then we're off to the races on the downside." But I also said to end that text, "Let's see what happens on the day." Well, it just so happens that we kind of opened up pretty much right at the VWAP, right at the long-term VWAP, where we found support on the SPX. It did the classic undercut and go. So it undercut last week's or probably 2 weeks ago support whenever it bounced off of it before, and it rallied up hard. So as you can see, it was a pretty significant increase in volume today. This was a pretty broad bottoming rally. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we just slingshot all the way up to the VWAP. So
Let's go.
pretty exciting day, as a matter of
Yeah.
fact. My excitement kind of got muted a little bit when I started looking at some individual stocks. I was kind of hoping to see a little bit of better action, but I was kind of scanning, looking through everything, and so I just kind of got a little muted. But I'm also kind of remembering where we're at, right? We're beat down pretty hard. A lot of the old leaders are
Yep.
still sitting at the bottom of their bases, so it's just kind of representative of what if we're going to start seeing the breakouts happen if the market does continue this rally. But it's just one day. We're just holding our breath, we're not jumping in on anything, but it
Yep.
was just an exciting session, right? So the NASDAQ composite, oops, the NASDAQ composite actually found
Oh,
support this morning as well. It
interesting.
got down, bounced right off of its long-term VWAP
Yeah.
from the high from this beautiful little consolidating wedge down here from July of 2023. So that's a long-term support point. We've got kind of a competing support. You have a little bit of support from the low of that range, and now we're seeing support from the high of that range. So
Hmm.
it's nice to see some buyers coming in there. Again, the
Yeah.
Nasdaq has got some significant work to do compared to the S&P 500,
Yep.
but it was nice to see the reason why those stocks bottomed where they did. You wouldn't see that if you didn't know what the VWAP was or where the VWAP was. And we're going to talk about that when we kind of look at some charts here, because I used to think, man, these imaginary lines. I draw lines on charts and think it's weird how these imaginary lines just always work. Well, it turns out they weren't imaginary. It was the VWAP the whole time, right?
Math,
Okay.
baby.
The small caps, yeah, right. Small caps found a little bit of support where we were kind of hoping they would. If I remember correctly, this is the VWAP from its all-time high. So this is a
Wow.
very important point. We would expect to see buyers come in here, and we're starting to see it. A little bit of a test to this low. So far, so good. Even though it did end down today, it's a pretty exciting day just simply because it rallied off, open, it closed higher than where it opened, and it rallied off of that support.
Yeah.
And then the mid caps, same thing, finding support at the VWAP where it found support before. We do have some significant room to go. I think the VWAP is just under 580, between 570, 580. And right now this ETF is at 533. So we got about 40 points to go on there, but what is it, about 8, 9%. But it's just nice seeing the sell-off get stunted right at the VWAPs. That's very good stuff. And
Well, and
then
it's
bond
good to see
rally.
in all of these charts so far that we saw increasing volume literally on every single one except for I believe the mids there, but all of the others seeing that increase in volume is an exciting thing too.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's kind of what I was hoping for. You want to see a good flush out, you want to see a good shakeout, right? And when it
Yeah.
undercuts and it rebounds and closes up on significantly higher volume, particularly with the S&P 500, that's a pretty bullish look right there. So it's pretty exciting. It's a good step. We've got a long ways to go, but it's good. And also the bonds rallied, so that's a step in the right direction as well. You would expect that to see that if the market's selling off hard, but to see the S&P and everything kind of rally up off of that, it's nice to see bonds kind of hold as well. So let's just take a look at some leading stocks here. Old Republic did hit a new high today. It broke out back in right when the red zone was starting in
Wow.
late February. It tried to sell off, found support at the VWAP, and it's been rallying up ever since. So
Wow.
nice to see a good, strong continuation there. Comstock Resources looks like it's starting to gain a little bit of traction. It traded up pretty good today on a nice pop in volume, hitting a new closing high, I believe, after its buy signal. Tradewebs is continuing to show some strength. It did the classic. This is kind of what I wanted to talk about. It did a classic three tight sell signal, and then it continued to take off. I really like that pattern, especially when it's near a VWAP. But this is an interesting one here. So I'm just going to draw some lines on here. When you draw the highs like that, and then you want to see the rising lows like that, right? And then you draw another. If it's a descending like that, I like to call that a snout pattern. It just looks like a dog's snout when you draw it
Yeah.
out. So that's a very common thing. And so what I used to find was the stocks would end up kind of like Tradewebs did. If we flatten this out a little bit more, you go like that. It used to find they would always find support at the top of those lines. And I was always like, man, these imaginary lines, where are they coming from? But when you know how to set the anchors on the VWAPs, that's exactly where the VWAPs always are.
Wow.
So it's kind of cool. You can literally draw the VWAPs on the chart inadvertently, but we don't have to do that. We just, math does it for us. So that's a pretty exciting pattern there. But I just thought that was kind of fun. McKesson, it also flashed a breakout a while ago. Tried to shake you out. This is a pretty common thing. This was actually during the green zone, but it tried to shake you out afterwards. But when you take a look, the sell-off was 1.1%. So it didn't hit our stop loss threshold. It kind of bubbled a little bit, and then it really took off, and it's been really strong ever since. Same thing with Palomar. Palomar, there's that three tight right after a nice strong move, three right below, and then a good strong breakout afterwards. And it's continuing to move higher, hitting all new highs. Idaho Strategic Resources, similar thing. It flashed a very subtle, quiet buy signal. Hard to call that a breakout, but it's a very mathematical, quiet little signal there. Tried to shake out, held at the VWAP, and it's continuing to move higher. Carvana, it found a little bit of resistance at both of the VWAPs, the all-time high VWAP, plus the VWAP from its previous base. However, it's holding up quite well. What I don't
Yeah.
like about this right now is the lower lows. That's a little bit of a bummer there. It's kind of widening out a little bit. We'd like to see that tighten up a little bit, particularly around the VWAP. But that's actually a pretty bullish candle there. So we'll just see what happens with Carvana. And then this is an interesting one. I really kind of like Celsius right here. It didn't match
Wow.
it didn't come up on any of our screens simply because of the earnings per share growth in the last quarter. But I
Sure.
just came across this looking at some old charts, and it's just hanging right underneath its all-time VWAP. This was a monster winner a couple of years ago, but it's pretty cool to see that. Again, I want to see these lows. These kind of have lower lows right here. We want to see that tighten up, kind of start forming some higher lows, either a flat top or a descending top to get a nice wedge pattern before we see that pop out above the VWAP there. And GRRR, Guerrilla Technologies, massive pop up today of 18%. And this is a better look. So if you take a look, it's got pretty steady lows here, right around, what is that? We're going to call 2452. Very nice, steady low patterns right there. And then it's got a very clear descending top right that. And a very solid breakout. It's still below its all-time highs. If we were in a better market, I would probably be jumping on all over this one, even though it's below the VWAP. As it is, the way where we're at right now, I'm obviously not trusting any breakouts. But that's the kind of pattern we're looking for. You want to see a nice, strong support bottom, which happens to coexist or coincide, I should say, with the previous VWAP from its last base, which I think those lows, if we draw another one, might end up coinciding. No, not quite. But anyhow, it's coinciding with the VWAP, finding support. You got a descending top, very explosive breakout, nice pop in volume. So that's a classic pattern right there. Particularly since it ran up 253% in 3 weeks, or I'm sorry, 253% in 4 weeks, excuse me. So for it to just trade sideways like that and get extremely tight like that and then pop, that's exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah, in our
But
last green zone, GRRR was one of our freebie giveaways too. So
that was a heck of a mover. I got stopped out on this day. That's just following your rules. I was pretty disappointed, but it is what it is. You gotta protect your gains when you have them. But yeah, that was a heck of a run. I'm really excited to see this one pop. I wish we were in a better market, better condition. Otherwise, I'd probably be taking part of this one.
well,
But for the
let's
most
hope
part,
it
this
keeps
is what I
turning.
was seeing kind of across the board.
Hmm.
Just a lot of stocks sitting right way down at the bottom, sitting right near some VWAPs. This is HIMS. As you can see, there's a lot of VWAPs there. So you would hope that this stock would find some buyers at this point. Had a massive, massive run, a blow off top, and it's really come back to earth a little bit. It's probably going to take a little bit of time. It's got some work. If you set a VWAP on the upper high, that's well above 42. The stock's currently at 30. So we've got a little bit of work to do on HIMS, but this is kind of across the board, part and parcel what I saw on everything. So that's kind of why it kind of dulled my excitement a little bit. So it took a little bit of a second for me to find some stocks to look at, but we did find some things to talk about today.
Heck yeah, dude. And it's exciting to see. I mean, if I feel like we had, 4 or 5 weeks of bloody Mondays, and now we've had 2 or 3 weeks of really exciting Mondays that then have gone through the week.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can continue this momentum and ride it into the next green zone.
Yeah, we got a little bit of ways to go, but it was a good first step. So nice little
Yeah.
shakeout. It'd be exciting to see if it holds. But until
Yep.
then, Matt, I'm kind of curious to see if the algo comes up with anything. It was the first time I've seen it did not come up with any signals yesterday, so that kind of tells you where we're at with the market. There's nothing making a move to the upside, and I think all the downside signals have already been hit. So it's just we're stuck in a trading range, right? Welcome to a trading
Yep.
range market. We're just going to sit back, let this base build, and let it pop off for the next move.
Oh, it's gonna be so much fun, man. And hey, if you want to have access to our algorithmic trades when the market does flip around, which again, we're hoping this momentum continues, make sure you subscribe over on our Patreon. That's patreon.com// Empire Algorithmic Trading. And that also gives you access to some of our educational videos. And there's a nice little community on there where you can chat with us individually and ask some questions too. Otherwise, follow us on social media. We've got Facebook, Instagram, X, Blue Sky. For those listening on Spotify, make sure to like and follow us there. On YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Let people know that you get the best daily stock talk based around VWAPs that you can find here on Empire Algorithmic's channel. And yeah, otherwise, if you want more information on us and who we are, Vwapvision.com. That's VWAPvision.com to see who we are and why we started this whole crazy journey.
All right, very good, Matt. Well, I'm looking forward to see what the algo kicks out, and we will talk to you during Arrow Review.
See you then, buddy. And for everybody else, happy trading.
Happy trading.